Welcome to Weaving Happiness Through Grief, where we navigate the delicate balance between love, loss, and the resilient heart. I'm Stephanie, an author and storyteller who found joy and healing after the unimaginable heartbreak of losing a once-in-a-lifetime love. This podcast dives into the raw truth of grief, the beauty of cherished memories, and the hope of new beginnings. Through my journey, rediscovering happiness and opening my heart again, I've learned that grief and joy can coexist, and love can find us when we least expect it. Join me as we honor the past, embrace the present, and step boldly into the future with courage and vulnerability. Let's celebrate the resilience of the human spirit and the beauty of living fully, even after a loss. Welcome back. After losing Jeff, I thought to myself, I had the best. I had the best in love. I was the luckiest in love. I had a man that adored me, that wrote me thousands of love notes, that treated me like I was his world and he was mine. And we had this mutual love and respect for one another. And it was, as I said before, it was so palpable. In my head, I thought, I will never love again. Not that I can't. I don't want to. I literally thought to myself, I have zero interest in dating. I'll never want to date again. There's no reason. I had the pinnacle. Like, I'll compare it. I'll never love it. Him, it will never happen. So why bother? So my way of thinking was just find your old self again. Be happy in doing the things you want to do. And just experience life with the kids and do some things on your own and your friends and family. And so I did. In the first 6 to 9 months or so, it just was a lot of trying to figure out who I was again. For two reasons. One, figuring out who I was without Jeff, because we had a whole life together. We had planned in our heads and our conversations. Everything was about Jeff and I. I had to start thinking about the next 50 years and what those look like without him. So the first 6 to 9 months or so, it was just about finding myself again, figuring out who I was without Jeff, and who I was, this new version of myself, because everything I had just been through, not just in the love and losing this love of my life, but also I was a caretaker. I was now a widow. All I knew was taking care of him. The pills, the hospital appointments, the doctor's appointments, the phone calls. Every day there was something, pretty much every day, all day, 7 days a week. It was relentless, and that's all I knew. So trying to figure out who I was again. And you don't literally go through a checklist, but mentally I just would notice things and I would do things. I was a different version of myself. There's no way to come through a trauma, a tragedy, some kind of battle zone that we were going through for all those years without coming out of it a different version of yourself. So I needed to kind of see what that version looked like. Who was I? Some relationships were lost along the way. I didn't expect that. Some friendships, I can't say why, but I just know that I was different. That 3.5-year experience changed me. I was impatient at times. I was exhausted. I was sad. But I needed to figure out who I was and what I wanted again. So anytime an invitation would come up, I would just kind of go, okay, can you do it? Can you push yourself to go there? So my girlfriend, Michelle, invited me to go to Vegas. It was, what's it called? Cowboy Country or something like that in December. They have something there. And I thought, well, this will be interesting. I'm going to go to Vegas, where Jeff and I had been many times and where we met, and I'd never been back. Since he passed, obviously, this is just maybe, it was in Christmas time, so it was Christmas Country Cowboy or something like that. A big rodeo was there. I thought, okay, I'm going to go to a Vegas rodeo where I met Jeff, country, cowboys, everything was country music everywhere. And I thought, I don't want to go. She had had this trip planned for a long time with friends, and so she invited me, and I thought, yeah, there's no way, I cannot. It's too much emotions, and I have no interest. And then in the 11th hour, I decided, I just booked a flight last minute, and I went quickly. And they were driving, and I flew and met the girls there, and I just stayed for 1 or 2 nights. I didn't go long. I think it was a couple nights. And of course, I went for a lot of runs. I would go out into the Vegas Strip. I would go for runs, and I would clear my head and have a good cry. And again, I thought, you got to go at some point. I mean, you don't have to go, but if you avoid it, it's going to always be there. And when these things are in the back of our heads and they're sitting there and we don't force ourselves to go through them, for me at least, it's always there, and it holds you back somehow. So I forced myself to go to Vegas. I'm like, okay, just do this. And we saw the cowboys, and we saw the music, and we saw the rodeo, and all these things were happening. What I didn't expect is one of the things that happened there was I was sitting at a bar. I just started doing things alone. They wanted to go do a shopping or whatever they did, and I just didn't have any interest. So I went to a bar alone. I went to a restaurant alone. I just did things alone, and I hadn't done that in many years. And I sat at a bar, and the irony of these things, and how I always say God's little tender mercies and how they line up. Kind of sad, and just was having a beer, thinking about Jeff. And this couple was sitting next to me. And again, no different than when I met Jeff in Vegas. I started chatting with them, and we got talking, and sure enough, they were from Canada. And he had just lost one of his parents. The husband had lost one of his parents. And we talked about his loss, and they asked me what I was doing there, and I shared the story a little bit, and I actually had started smiling and laughing with them, and I found myself talking to him and helping him through his grief with his parents, and Jeff had just been gone a few months. And something about it just, I don't know, it felt right. So the trip went on. I came back home, and then there were birthday parties, and there were concerts, and there were a lot of things that I didn't want to go to without Jeff. I didn't want to socialize. But I kind of, again, forced myself and pushed myself, not to everything, but a lot of this had to do with thinking in my head, and this was, I think, very common. Am I allowed to have fun? What are people going to think of me? Oh my gosh, what if I was at a bar having a drink in my own town and someone saw me? Would they think I didn't love him anymore? I didn't care about him. Oh, I'm so over him. Like, I didn't know what people would think, and I shouldn't have cared, but yet I did. So in my head, it was these fun things that I was pushing myself to do simply to hopefully get past it and start to feel like myself again. I was so worried about others would think about me, how they would look at me, and what they would think about me. So I had these conversations in my head and with some of my girlfriends, and I realized I was allowed to have fun again. It was okay to have fun again. It was okay to smile and laugh. And the laughter and the smiles, they crept in occasionally. It was still very much dark. But by doing that, I was slowly bringing just little snippets of fun and laughter and starting to create some new memories and bringing those into my life and just starting to weave them through. And then it was the new year, 2022.
As we close this episode of Weaving Happiness Through Grief, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey of remembrance, resilience, and rediscovery. Loss is a path none of us choose, but together we can walk through it, honoring the love that was and of the life that still awaits us. If today's story touched a part of your own journey, know that you're not alone. Grief, though profound, doesn't close us off from joy. It teaches us how to hold space for both love and loss. And sometimes it opens our hearts to unexpected new beginnings. Join me next time as we continue to explore healing, acceptance, and the beautiful bittersweet moments that remind us life can still be filled with happiness. And remember, while we honor the love that has shaped us, we open ourselves to the hope that the future holds. Please head over to the show notes to find out more of the ways I offer guidance on the topics I discuss in the podcast, or visit thestephanieduran.com. Until next time, take gentle steps forward, hold your memories close, and know that joy and love in all its forms continues on.